my name is Nikki LaRock. I am the founder of Elite Habits. That's my business. We are a fitness and nutrition coaching business. We provide one-to-one coaching services as well as wellness challenges for businesses and corporate wellness education.
Wow, that is incredible. I'd like to know how you got started in your industry. Were you always into like fitness and helping people out?
Yeah, so I've been in fitness for a cool 17 years now.
Nice.
Started right when I was 18 years old, graduated high school, fell in love with group fitness. So I've been in this area my whole life, and there used to be a little tiny gym called Lady of America. And it was an all women's gym. It was tiny. It was just cardio equipment, like no weights, just
Cool.
just cardio equipment, no weights, and a group exercise stage. And I grew up playing sports, and I just didn't want to lose like the connection with like exercise and movement and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So my parents and like my aunt and uncle went in on like a gym membership for me, so I could keep moving. And I fell in love with it immediately like started, how can I teach classes? How can I be a part of this? So I did that, and I wound up teaching classes at like community centers and everything from aqua aerobics to boot camps to, whatever. And then I got certified to teach archery. So I taught archery. I fell in love with boxing and mixed martial arts at one point and wound up being a UFC instructor. So over the years, it was always a side hustle. Just worked a full-time job, but pursued those interests and kind of that love, and just started racking up certifications and group exercise and personal training, and then nutrition followed. And eventually, after doing the group exercise thing for a long time, I started to really fall in love with kind of like the science of it and the behavior change aspect of it, and the ability to build a physique and build a body and build things that you want rather than just losing the weight loss aspect of it. So anyway, I eventually transitioned into the more one-to-one and the more kind of long-term behavior change aspect of it, and that's how I wound up here.
Wow, that's incredible. It sounds like you've always been like just so active, and you said that your parents signed you up for like a gym. Were they like fitness gurus too?
No, they weren't actually.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no, not at all. I don't know that my mom's ever set foot in a gym.
Wow, okay. Except at your gym.
Right, yeah. It just wasn't their thing. My dad played sports, but it was something that I was interested in.
Okay.
So.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And now about the services that you provide. So it's one-on-one. Is it like cardio, strength training, everything? Is it dieting, nutrition? Talk to me a little bit more in depth about that.
Sure. So it's a little bit of everything, but there is a significant focus on strength training, because if we're being honest, and most of my clientele in a one-to-one sense is female, mostly between, like, my average client ranges between, I'd say 35 and 60 is the average age of my female clients. And us as women, for the most part, we don't have any problems with cardio. When we think we need to diet and we need to exercise, the first thing we do is think, we're going to run on the treadmill or jump on the Peloton, or it's the first thing that we do. And that's great. All exercise is beneficial, but all exercise does not equal the same outcome. And usually when I hear the outcomes that my clients are looking for, what they're actually hinged on is strength training. And strength training is something that, especially females, we struggle with the concept of it. Yes, we struggle with the concept of it. Everyone's different, but a lot of fears and things that I hear are fears related to size, gaining size, fears related to looking a certain way, fears related to not knowing what they're doing or being intimidated to step into a gym setting, things of that nature. But there's all kinds of ways that we can kind of customize that. So all of that to say is there's a huge focus on strength training, because when we're talking about playing the long game as it relates to your health and fitness, the biggest predictor of longevity is muscle mass. Muscle mass literally makes any chronic disease more survivable. Wow. The stats on muscle mass are wild, and there's no reason like that we shouldn't all be doing it, no matter what age, no matter what capability. Right. So there's a huge focus on that. And then there's also a big focus, obviously, on implementing nutrition strategies that make sense.
Yes.
I'm very realistic as it relates to nutrition coaching. I don't demonize foods or food groups. There's no can't haves. There's no can't do's.
I like that style.
You're right? Because that's not for most people. For most people, that's not realistic. So I mentioned earlier that we're very rooted in behavior change, long-term behavior change.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of way that we attack that. But yes, cardio, huge focus on strength training, because who are we kidding? You don't really need my help to run on the treadmill. You don't need me to write you a program to run on the treadmill.
Yeah.
So huge focus on the things that are progressive, that are compounding in nature.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how the one-to-one service is. And they're mostly virtual.
Cool.
So,
In the comfort of your home, you don't have to get up and drive.
Yes, they're mostly virtual. So I just find out what you have access to. If it's a home gym, if it's dumbbells and bands, if it's full gym access, what you have access to, kind of your familiarity, your starting level, what you're looking to achieve, and then we go from there in designing custom programming.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about the muscle mass, because like it helps your posture, it helps you burn fat and stay lean.
Yep.
And then we just think like, no, we gotta run and like sweat it all out in the water.
Right. So when we think about metabolism, it's this very like nuanced concept for so many people. It's just like, oh, my metabolism, it's just not great, or my metabolism fell off a cliff when I turned 40, or but realistically, it's a very smart system, our metabolism, and it's a very adaptive system, and it's meant to keep us alive, right? Alive and functioning, and all it is energy management.
Yes.
So it's not this nuanced, crazy thing that we have to be scared of. It's just the thing that manages our energy output.
Yes.
And most of our metabolism is due to something called our basal metabolic rate, or our resting metabolic rate, and that's just what it takes to keep us alive.
Yeah.
The heart beating, lungs inflating.
Got blood pumping, all that
Yeah,
good stuff.
exactly. And most of it goes to our brains, honestly. Most of that goes to our brains. And we tend to overestimate the importance of exercise, especially cardiovascular exercise. While it is very important for health, that direct, like, oh, I'm going to go run, and that's going to be the thing that pushes me over the edge to this lean physique. And that's usually not the case.
A little misconception there,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Okay. That's good to know. So I hope the listeners, when they listen to this, they're like, okay, I got to start like lifting a little bit of weights here and move on up to the next level.
Yep. Muscle is a really metabolically active tissue. Yeah. So it requires more energy to exist than fat mass.
Yeah. I wonder how that, I guess, like perception of exercise like came to be with like for women, like, no, that's only for men, or it's going to make you look super buff, and like that's not ideal for a woman. But it's like, it depends how much you do, but you still need to do it. And where we got stuck with this concept where it's like, only running and like da-da-da.
Well, what I really like to do for my clients, and this is where it kind of relates to business as well, and this is something I do when I do corporate wellness talks or lunch and learns or things of that nature. I like to relate physical changes and physique changes and things to things that we are very familiar with, to progressing through our careers, to progressing through our degrees, to advancing in these systems.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to, call it getting a degree, all of us can be very objective. Yeah. We understand the process. We can look at the degree, we can look at the boxes that we have to tick, we can look at the syllabus, and we can say, this makes sense. And then if we get to a certain point in our degree program and we're thinking, this isn't really working for me anymore, then we're able to say, okay, we're going to now pursue this major, but we can still look at all that work we've done and not be like, oh, I lost all my progress.
Yes.
No, you became more well-rounded, you progressed in that direction, and then you made changes as necessary. So when we kind of relate to it in this way, and then we also think like, if I want an engineering degree, I can't take 4 years of nursing classes, right? So I try to tie those concepts into people's health and their wellness, because when it comes to our bodies and when it comes to how we think, we tend to be very emotion driven, and that's it's a very human response for sure. But really, it's run by all the same scientific rules as the universe is, right? So when we can come to it with a more objective lens, and when we can think like, okay, not all actions equal the same outcomes.
Yes.
Like all these actions towards wellness and things are beneficial. Like I said, all exercise is beneficial.
Yes.
It's all beneficial. It all makes you more well-rounded, more healthy. But if you're looking for a certain outcome, there are certain boxes, there is a syllabus, there are things that need to be checked to get to that outcome. And if you progress towards that outcome and then you realize that like, maybe I'd be better served going in this direction, it wasn't all a big waste and we need to throw our hands up in the air and just fall off the program completely, we can make adjustments and to continue to move in that direction.
Yeah. And now you know what direction you need to go as opposed to like, I'm doing all of these, but I don't know.
Exactly. So we tend to do this all or nothing, emotion driven, like, oh, well, I did it and it worked and then now it didn't this, as opposed to looking at it from this long lens, like we do so many other things in our life.
We absolutely do. Thank you for sharing that. I'd like to ask you, when you started your business, did you have like a coach or a mentor, or how did you like make that leap and just be like, okay, I just have my business? Or did you just jump off the cliff and be like, let's go, let's do this?
Yeah, so kind of, there was a few steps that kind of progressed me towards starting my own business. And in the end, it ended up just being absolute necessity at the time. But so right before COVID, as I kind of progressed through that group exercise era of mine, I had started teaching for a company called Les Mills.
Okay.
And Les Mills is an international fitness brand.
I think I've heard of them.
If you've ever worked out in like a Gold's or a One Life or kind of gyms of that nature, you might have seen a class like Body Pump or Body Combat.
Yeah. Is there videos of that too?
Yes. They're a big on-demand service now because of COVID. Okay. But they used to be purely, they would create content, license that content and certify instructors, and then license that content to gyms to be able to teach and host their content. Yeah, it's a great model. But I had started teaching with a company called Les Mills. I had previously been teaching for UFC. Then I had my babies. And I needed, I have 2 babies. Well, they're not babies now. They're older now.
Congratulations.
But thank you. Yes. But I needed to teach in a gym environment that had childcare.
Yeah.
So I started looking for something that was close enough to kind of the UFC, mixed martial arts, and I found Les Mills Body Combat.
Yeah.
So I got certified to teach Les Mills Body Combat, loved it. Got certified to teach Les Mills Body Pump and then Les Mills Sprint, and went through all of the upskilling and all the things that Les Mills offered, and was getting feedback from, my call it mentors at the gym who were kind of helping me progress through this, and then my instructors within Les Mills basically saying like, hey, you should consider like continuing to progress through this. Like this is a gift. This is something that we can nurture. Like this is that you're good at this. You should look to take the next steps. So Les Mills had something called a TAP team, and that was the trainer, assessor, presenter team for the United States.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, I want to say there were like 20,000 Les Mills instructors in the U.S. Like there's a lot of them. A lot of gyms teach these programs. And the TAP team in any given year would range between 150 to 200 of those people. And their goal was to, again, train other instructors to do what they do and upskill other instructors, to assess incoming instructors, and then to present on large stages. Yeah. So I started pursuing a role on the TAP team. Okay. Which I did. I did the video audition and the in-person audition. And
you did all the things.
I did all the things, and I got a role on the TAP team in 2019.
Okay.
So I got a role on the TAP team as a presenter in 2019. And when you get a role on the TAP team, you are assigned a development coach.
Okay.
I was previously someone who was very, very, very afraid of taking on feedback. Just because it felt like a personal attack. Like,
I feel that sometimes. Yeah. I know that feeling sometimes.
It felt like a personal attack to be told I didn't do something right after I had genuinely tried so hard, and you studied, and to be flat out told like that's not it, like you missed the mark. It felt like a cut to the heart. Yes. Aww. Yes, but part of the process to onboard onto the TAP team, which is nearly a year-long process, was this development coach, and you would film yourself teaching, presenting, all of these things. And the development coach would go nearly minute by minute. And I don't know if they still do it this way anymore. I know they've changed in some years, but he would go nearly minute by minute and been like, at the 6-minute and 47-second mark, you had an opportunity to scale your voice and your facial expressions with the music to create a better experience for your people. At this point in the class, you had an opportunity to, demonstrate better technique when it comes to this movement pattern. Let's see you do this, this, and this here. Yeah. And of course, they tell you everything you do well too. Of course, of course they shower you in praise as well. But yeah, a very pointed, like, here were the opportunities that you had to do better. And you would submit multiple videos again and again and again and again of them giving you this feedback. And it absolutely cured me of whatever fear I had of having these discussions, taking on feedback, what feels like criticism maybe at the time, because it's a non-issue now. But yes, so I had a development coach that pushed me through that process. I actually had two development coaches, and I can't say enough about them and how having access to them and being able to lean on them and learn from them and grow was helpful in kind of pushing to where I am now. Once I got to the end of that process, I cleared it. I finished it. I was one of the first in my class to complete this process. I was like, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to do it. You know, big goals, big dreams to do all this big stuff with this fitness company. And then COVID hit. And Les Mills cut the U.S. tap team by about 30%. And I was sitting over there like, last in, first out. I'm gone. Like, it's me. I'm gone. I didn't get cut on the first round. So I hung in there through about like 6 months of COVID, and we're doing everything we can to engage on social media, and we're doing everything we can to keep people involved and, you know, moving. And the Les Mills mission at the time was for a fitter planet. So it's like, you know, we're trying to get as many people involved as we can and do challenges and incentives and all of these things. And then a few more months down the line, they did another round of cuts.
Oh my goodness.
And I was in that round of cuts.
Dang.
So after a year I spent 5 years upskilling to be able to audition for that team, and then a year onboarding to that team, and then I got cut.
Bloody COVID, man.
And then I got cut. Because my role was primarily in-person upskilling of other instructors and large events. Yeah. So they didn't know what it was going to be, you know. So I got cut. And but I learned all these great lessons, and I had developed all this confidence. I developed all of these skills as it relates to upskilling and coaching other people. I had developed all these skills as it relates to seeing what's in front of me and adjusting to what's in front of me and reading the room and all of these things. So, I just started kind of trying to figure out what was next. Like, do I want to go virtual? Do I not want to go virtual? Mm-hmm. And then kind of eventually came to the decision that I'm gonna start my own business, start my own thing. I had been working with a partner, and you know, these are lessons learned. I had been working with a partner, someone that I had known for years, and we had built, you know, we're building something more in the corporate space. Okay. And then one day, just poof, just disappeared with the business, with the thing. Dang. Like just gone. Like. So, lessons learned, I think, as people in business, we've all
part of life
trusted someone that we shouldn't have, or believed in a business relationship, and that was, you know, it wasn't what we believed it to be. Mm-hmm. And it's part of life, and it's lessons learned, and it's you know, something that we understand better moving forward. Absolutely. So that happened, and that was the necessity moment. That was like, okay, that's gone. It's gone now. I worked really hard on it, but poof, it's gone. So what are you going to do? Yeah. So then I started Elite Habits with that week. The week that it disintegrated, I was like, okay.
I'm glad you were still motivated. Okay. You're like, F that. Like, I'm going to still.
At that point, you don't have much of a choice, True. Right? Yeah. It's like, these are the skills I have. This is the skill set I have. Like, this is how I earn a living. This is how I make an income. This is what I have to offer other people. So here we go. Here we go again.
Yeah. What kind of experience do you hope to give your clients when they come to you?
I hope for my clients to, one, be able to function beautifully and confidently without me. Like, I hope that they are, granted, I love working I have clients that I've worked with for years, and I love them, and I hope to continue working with them. Yeah. But I'm also confident that these clients that I've built this great relationship with, that I've worked with for years, I'm confident that if they had to do this on their own, they absolutely could, and there wouldn't be any nuance or confusion or I don't know what to do, or like she didn't explain it, or you know, I hope that my clients are empowered with education and with knowledge to manage these things on their own, because honestly, this isn't something truly that I should have to explain. It's sad that it's not something that we're taught. We're not taught how our bodies work. We're not taught the science of energy balance. We're not taught how the metabolism functions. We're not taught what happens to our muscle mass as we age. We're not taught about strength training. And these are all very basic physiological functions. Yeah. So it's sad that we're not taught this, but I am grateful that I get to be the one to help people discover these things about themselves and discover how truly adaptive and smart and wonderful and powerful our bodies are, and how they will literally do anything you ask them to do. If you continue to ask them, repeatedly and habitually, they will adapt. So I hope that my clients walk away with a deep understanding of their bodies and their minds and how powerful they are, and that they are able to create systems to support their goals rather than just, think and hope and wish, that those systems can be customizable, that they don't have to be one size fits all. Like I tell people all the time that they are the rule, not the exception. But on the flip side of that coin, yes, you are the rule. You're not the exception. You're not the special cosmic outlier. You're ruled by the same rules that everybody else is. But having said that, you can adapt your systems to support you, knowing that you're the rule, right? There's freedom in knowing that you're the rule. So you can create systems and things that support what you know about yourself and what you know about your mind and what you know about your body. So having my clients understand systems, having my clients understand habits, having my clients understand the compounding nature of this, the long play nature of this, is what I hope for everyone that I work with.
I love that. That's so beautiful. And I also appreciate and love that you're like, I want to teach you skills that you can do without me. Most of the time it's like, no, you need me all the time. And I like that you also share that knowledge with them so that they can go on in their lives too and do what's right. And obviously stick with you, like, because like they probably love your personality and they're like a buddy to like work out with and keep them motivated, because sometimes you need that motivation.
It's great. And there's also something to be said for just taking things off your plate. And that's one of the things that I talk with my clients about in creating systems. Like, yes, they could do, some of them are more than capable of, they've been doing this for a long time. They could write their own programs. They could, but they're busy professionals. Exactly. They've got things going on. They've got kids. So there's something to be said for outsourcing your program writing to someone else who's an subject matter expert. So
I love it. Yeah, no, that's a great strategy. I love it. I'd like to ask, is there anything that maybe I have not touched on, or that a key point that we're missing that you want our listeners to know about you, your business, any insight as a business owner? You have the floor.
I have the floor. As a business owner, I would say that for anyone starting out, I think it's important to know that none of us have it figured out, that we are all learning as we go, that all of the things that, seem like maybe they come so natural, or that someone has it all locked in, it didn't come natural. It probably came with a lot of fight and tears and moments of like, should I even continue to do this? Like, why did I do this in the first place? Am I even capable of this? Like, who do I think I am? Like, we all have those thoughts, and no matter how far we get into our business journey, those thoughts continue to creep in. And depending on what's going on in life and we're all human, and our ability and capability to manage those thoughts, it ebbs and it flows. But just like our health and our wellness, our businesses, it's a long play. Yeah. And how successful we are, I believe, sits on a direct timeline with how much we can take, and how much we can persevere, and how long we can ride out the storm. So yeah, there'll be great, clear, sunny moments in pursuit of what it is that you want. Yes. But there will be just as many storms.
That's right.
And just as many, tears and question marks and things. And yes, your capacity grows. Yes, your abilities grow. But so do the challenges.
Yes.
So for anyone starting out, I would say just hang in there. None of us know what we're doing. And I would say the exact same thing to anyone starting out on their wellness journey. For anyone starting out, it's taking steps in the right direction. It's reaching out for help when you need it. It's assessing and making small changes, and not throwing out everything because something didn't go the way that you expected it to go. Yep, and I would draw those same parallels across the board. So
yeah, no, absolutely. That's very wise of you to share. So thank you. I want to ask 2 more questions, and I promise I'll be done.
Of course.
I want to ask where you see yourself in the next 5 years. Like, do you plan maybe expanding outside of virtual, or you want to keep it virtual, or having your own space or gym, or maybe bringing on employees? Have you given that any thought maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do not intend on having my own gym space. I do not see that in the cards for me.
Okay.
I actually do. I'm an investor in some brick and mortar businesses down in the Orlando area.
Okay.
They're not gyms, but they're dance studios, and they're wonderful. They're great businesses, but like I sit over here and watch those enrollments drop and rise, and I watch and brick and mortar is a monster in and of itself.
Okay.
So I would not see that in my future for my gym business and fitness coaching business. But I see, these beautiful one-to-one relationships continuing to expand, but where I'm really excited to push into in the next 5 years plus is working with businesses and companies to one, help the companies, have the most happy, healthy, productive employees that they can, because that matters in the output of your employees. That matters in your relationships with your employees and the retention of your employees, but also just for those individuals to have control of their health and their wellness. And I'm already working with businesses. I'm doing a wellness challenge for an IT company called Basis Path here in January. Yes, so we're doing a wellness challenge for their employees, and we're all really excited about it. Yeah, I actually have a lunch and learn tomorrow for Transwestern, their commercial real estate.
Look at you.
Yeah, commercial real estate business. So I work with companies now, but I would like to do more of that, and I could rattle on about the stats of the cost of lost productive time to companies based on wellness issues, and the cost of healthcare, and the cost of this and it's an incomprehensible amount of money that companies lose just on the inability of people to be productive because of their stress levels and because of their health issues that are mostly manageable.
Yeah.
With wellness interventions.
Awesome. And where can people reach out to you? Like on your Instagram, on your website?
Absolutely. So I have my website, and it's formelitehabits.com. But also I'm obviously on Instagram. My first name, last name, nothing crazy, Nikki LaRock is my most active page. Call it the founder page for the business. And then Form Elite Habits is the Instagram handle for the business.
Awesome. All right. Now my last question, I promise. I'm sorry. Sorry, everybody. Do you have a quote or a saying that has inspired you or has been told to you that maybe has stuck with you? And would you mind sharing that with our listeners, just so we know like what drives you, what inspired you?
Oh man, I'm on the spot now.
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, and I wouldn't say this is like my go-to quote or anything, but I actually just ordered this book, and I'm gonna butcher the quote, so please forgive me. But it was originally, I want to attribute it to Marcus Aurelius, who was a Stoic, It's essentially what stands in the way becomes the way. And ultimately, in the book I ordered, I think the book title encapsulated it a little better, which is The Obstacle is the Way. So basically, you think that because something impedes your progress, or something is blocking you, or something is stopping you from getting to what it is that you want, that is the answer. But that is actually the way forward for you to step into the person that you need to be, for you to carry the weight that you need to carry as the person that you claim that you want to be. The obstacle is there to help you become that. Yeah. So what stands in the way becomes the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a strong one.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your wisdom, insights, and some of the challenges that you've had. I appreciate you getting into the nitty-gritty with me.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.